Divine Nights on getting your chakra right. Heart is mind. The mind is the true heart. And understanding and getting into deeper to ourselves, the things that you allow to weigh down your heart are usually the heaviest things on your mind. It's no secret. The heart being the... I never wiped that off. The heart being the true mind. You can understand. Once you understand the spell, you understand. Once you understand the spell, you understand how to manipulate it to empower you. It's not what you were taught, it's how you were taught. And subjecting yourself over and over and over again to something that's lower than you will always leave you lower than you. If you give something else outside of you power to validate you, to put you in a certain level, a certain light, then you'll always be in that certain level of light. You'll never explore yourself. You never understand yourself. You'll be one of those 50, 60-year-old people running around talking about white devil this, white devil that, the white man did this, the white man did this, the white man did that. Because that's what's on your heart, that's what's on your mind, that's what your ego needs. Your ego needs you to stay in this constant state of, oh my God, it happened again. I can't trust niggas. I can't trust bitches. I can't trust people. Because every time I trust somebody, they hurt me. I give them, I give them all this access to me, and all they do is use it to benefit them in some way, shape, or form. I'm tired of giving to people. I'm tired of doing this to people. I'm tired of being something. I'm tired of being identified as something less than what I am. The only way you can be identified as something is less than what you are is if you truly, on your heart, are less than what you are. The only way that you can be oppressed or stopped or hurt or put into a state of anguish is only based upon your what you have on your heart, what you believe in, what you stand for. That's, but I feel it in my, I feel like that's my, I feel like this is my purpose. But what is really my purpose? No one really understands me. People are thinking I'm this and thinking I'm that. I've been thinking about this for so long, but I don't want to do it because others are going to judge me in a certain way. The fuck does it matter? What is on your heart doesn't make another person's heart any heavier. You carrying on this weight because you're thinking that's what you're supposed to do. Because still doing that shadow work, that's what you believe, that's what it is under that notion, under that gnosis, under that hypnosis, under that program. We get stuck, motherfuckers get stuck in the glamour, the glitz, the glamour, the razzle dazzle, the pretty lights. of something, and then once it's challenged, they make one or two decisions based on emotion. You should never make a decision based off emotion. Everything you should do should not, anything you do should not be based off of emotion. It should not be based off the reaction. When you base things based off of emotion, you make something based off of emotion. The moment that you put yourself into that thought process of it was, I was angry, I was upset, I was in my feelings, I was in my thoughts, I was in my feelings, I was in my thoughts. You allowed another burden onto your heart because now you got to live with that. What are you willing to live with in yourself as you rise into your higher self? You're coming to your higher self, to that Godhead, to that Titan energy. What are you willing to live with? Nothing that I have in my mindset or where I move and how I move is based upon the thoughts or the feelings of others. And that's a hard thing to do. A lot of people don't really understand how deep that goes when you put yourself into the thought process of the things that you do for yourself in your enlightenment and your rising into yourself, into your higher self. I share you being into yourself and you tuning into yourself and tapping into yourself. It does not involve anybody else's heart. The things that you're going to go through, the things that you are doing, they're not meant for anyone else. They weren't called. They didn't get that. They didn't get that page, that beat, that text, that initiation, that spark, that interest in raising their consciousness. You did. They didn't get that call. They didn't get that. I don't expect anyone that I used to know, or as I'm rising, even as I rise into my consciousness, to get what I'm saying. I don't expect that. The only thing that I accept is when I'm on this frequency and I'm speaking at this level, the ones that truly get the ones that are truly getting that message are on this wavelength, in that frequency, in that space, they're getting what I'm saying. The only ones that I talk to, the only ones that I dwell with, the only ones that I deal with are gods, chaos beings, titans, ones that are in this. I don't talk to the ones that are in the mindset of, well, maybe, but what do you think about, what do you think about Trump? I don't think shit about Trump. That's not on my heart. What do you think about them killing the black babies? I don't think about that. You have to program your mind not to be subjected, that subjective thought, because when you allow your mind to be subjected to a certain thought and that thought becomes a part of your mind, it becomes a part of your space in your subconscious, everything that you're going to do is going to lead to that in your environment. You created your environment, and that's a part of your environment. So now that becomes a burden on your humanity. Man, I hope it gets better. Man, I hope it turns to this instead of being this all the time. That's not where you should be at. If that's where you're at in your consciousness, if that's where you're at in your thought process, in your consciousness, that's where you're at. If someone's at that level in their consciousness, based on economic plans and creating something for somebody, creating something for the youth, the future, all these thought processes, that's their level. That's where they're at. Hats off to you. That's what you want to do. But if you're trying to go to if you're not wanting to be in this subjective category, you're looking at the grander scheme of things. You start understanding the simplicity in somebody saying, what's the use of me saying they have the cure for cancer, but they won't give it to the people? You already know and understand that there's more money in treating it than actually doing anything about it. If I treat something, if I put it into that thought process and based on polarity, if I treat it, then there's no need for me to, I'm not going to gain anything from it. In our lives, there's people based on conflict, based on polarity. They feel if they do this over here on the positive side and they get the reaction that they wanted, they can continue doing it. But if you're not going to do it, then I'm not going to subject myself to this thought process, so I'm not going to do it. Basing it off emotions. You never say you miss me. You never say you love me in public. Who really knows about me? Then they create scenarios in their heads of inadequacy, because you're not giving them attention. You're not giving them the attention based on what they are identified as. That's heavy on their heart. Their perception of love, the perception of love at this level is degenerative lust. The madness of degenerative lust. A relationship begins. It's full of nuance and taboo. It's full of, oh my God, this happened or this happened. They wrote me a poem. They wrote me a sonnet. 6-7 months down the line, you don't write me those good morning messages anymore. You don't tell me good night anymore. You used to tell me you missed me all the time. You subjected yourself to what you were getting and not looking at what was happening on the grander scheme. Rational thoughts. If I meet in relation to that, we're getting to that, but every relationship that you come into at this level or any level is based off karmic flame. Every relationship is karmic. Everybody has an intention, whether consciously or unconsciously, directly or indirectly, to help you change into something, to help you evolve or shift from something. Every relationship that you come into is karmic. Every relationship is reflective in a karmic state. You meet this guy, or you meet this guy, or you meet this girl. They change your entire thought process on how you used to think about things. They have you wanting to go to the gym. They have you wanting to read more books. They have you wanting to do more things. Things that you didn't subject yourself to before because you didn't see a need to do it. But they opened your mind based on a space that you haven't explored yet. Everything's going good in the beginning. But then your natural identity or your ego says, okay, test the waters. Don't go to the gym. Is this one bacon cheeseburger? She'll never know. Is this one bacon cheese? It's this one steak. He'll never. It's this one chicken wing. She'll never know. Then you find out the bitch crazy. She's looking at your shit in the damn toilet to see if your shit floats or sinks. This bitch crazy. She really looked in there and looked to see if my shit was floating or sinking. Once you open a door, you must accept. If you're not willing to, when you open a door, you must accept everything at that level. Subjective thought forces you to go into a space and base it off one or the other side. So you want to choose, you're choosing sides. If I do this, it's kind of like your life is like at this level is like those books where you got to choose, go to page 6 if you want this to happen, go to page 29 if you want this to happen and read the ending. And then that's what the stasis of this life is like. No deductive reasoning, no logic. You're given answers. You're given information. Being at this level, given information, that's nice. Here's a book list. Here's this book. Here's this act. Do this. And then this is happening. Then you have an outward antagonist. You're all at this level. There's always going to be an antagonist. Every story teaches you there's always an antagonist. There's always something there to let you know, nigga, as long as you're here, this is going to happen. As long as you do this, this is going to happen. If you don't do this, then this happens. You get stuck in that mindset, and then your burden on your heart is, am I living my truth? This isn't really me. Then you're later on down the line, you're so separated away from yourself that you really don't understand what the fuck you really were in the beginning, because you allowed yourself to change. Similar to a relationship of that one person that every relationship that they get into, they subject themselves to that person's wants, needs, likes. They become that shadow of that person. Oh, you like unicycles? I love unicycles. They never rode a unicycle in their fucking life, but they're going to go take unicycle lessons just to subject themselves to an interest of this person, because they have no interest of their own, or they do not have what would be confidence in securing themselves in being what they are. Their transparency is off. It's about transparency. Your heart being your true mind is transparent. The more you get into your heart, the more you get your heart chakra in alignment, it becomes transparent. You start seeing, you start understanding, and you start moving in a sense of yourself being your true self. Transparency. And then you challenge the ones around you based on your transparency of yourself. On a basic level, most motherfuckers can't even sit here and say the most transparent a motherfucker can be on that lower level shit. I want to have a threesome. On some deeper shit, if you can't tell a person, hey, I like to have sex in graveyards, that motherfucker looking like you lost your fucking mind. It isn't the act of what you say. It's the openness to the thought of the knowing. You exposing yourself at a level to gain clarity on what you are at that level in relation. What a person is willing to subject themselves to based on thought or ego, you won't say it out loud. Everybody was thinking it. Then you look for you look for the antagonist that says that. Yeah. They said it. But look at the lower level shit that you subject yourself to. Black leaders. You get stuck on black leaders. I don't need anybody leading me anywhere. I don't want anybody leading me anywhere. Because if I allow someone to lead me, I must subject myself to I must subject myself or engulf myself in everything that person thinks, everything that person conveys, everything that person, even if it challenges my very thought process of what I'm true to, I must step off of my square to follow them. If you allow yourself to be led by something else, or you need something to lead you into something else, but it takes you off of your square, it's going off of your thought and your ego. Therefore, if it doesn't work, you have something to blame it on. So you don't take accountability. Coming into consciousness is a different level. You're switching off reactivity and you're turning on to proactivity. You're switching from belief to thought. You're switching from apples to oranges. You're switching from what you knew to now to what you were taught to believe and subjected to, bells and all the other rings and shit, into a state of, wait, that's not it anymore. That doesn't work for me. And then you'll have those people that are literally, you'll have people, then some people don't want to truly engulf into themselves or come into themselves. They rather have somebody to tell them the up and down, the right and wrong, if you do this will happen. That way, they never subject themselves to true heart of themselves. They don't have to do any work. They can blame everybody else for something that they do. I was at work earlier, and there's always this one guy at work, and he'll always say things like, someone tried to sabotage me. And I looked down at him and I was like, yo, you're the only one down there. Who sabotaged you? They always look for an antagonist. He'll always say something about light skin and dark skin or some other outlandish shit that it tickles me. And I laugh at it and I'm like, what is the point? That's truly what this person believes. But instead of me, and it's always a constant test for me, because instead of me subjecting myself to the thought process of going into an argument with this person to articulate dropping knowledge or dropping a seed, it does me no balance or any never mind, because he's on a different side of the polarity. It's showing me polarity. In your life, when you're coming into your synchronization of yourself, you're going to be shown constant polarity until you take your mind out of time. Everything is a teaching moment. So everything laid in front of you is to help you release from something in order to take your soul and feed and nourish your soul to create the space that you need to be in. What you subject yourself to, what you allow to be on your heart in your true mind, becomes your reality, becomes what you desire, what you want, what you need, what you strive for. What are you striving for over and over and over again in your life? What are you trying to do with your life? The thought process of saving something is under the same guise as hope. Just like if somebody sits here and they put up a post about they're teaching transgenderism in schools. They need to change that part in schools. What are you really saying? If you know that's what they do over there and you don't want to be subjected to it, what are you willing to sacrifice in your now to create a space where you can benefit, that you can actually save or help something? What are you willing to sacrifice? Some people, that's you set yourself into these arguments and you choose a side, and then you get stuck in Dwayne Wade's son just identified as gay, and he said now he's a girl, and then they call him their daughter. But you just saw a couple months ago this motherfucker, he just subjected himself to some transgender bullshit with himself. All you're being shown is, in order to be accepted in this, once again, in order to be accepted in this level, to get something out of this level, you must subject to these rules. Here are the rules. You don't play by these rules, or you can't live here. Okay. You fight and you buck against it. But it goes deeper than what you actually thought it was. Who's the first person that subjected you to a set of rules and regulations in order to live in that space? Where were you taught that first? Why do you buck against it so hard? Why is that still on your heart? Why are you subjecting yourself to these thought processes that have nothing to do with you? Or does it have something to do with you? That's why it resonates and it reflects in front of you over and over and over again. Let me go look at this table of contents real quick of my life and see where the first time that this happened. You're given a false narrative of a structure that's foreign to you. We get put into this thought, you get put into a thought process of a false sense of security based upon rules that are foreign to your natural self. It doesn't fit you. It never fit you. It's never the space for you. You were already taught through trauma, symbols, and repetition over and over and over again. But you never look at where you went to and where you were at and why shit was built those certain ways that it was built. You ever looked inside it? Something to think about. You ever walked inside of a stadium, an auditorium at school, a stadium, the way your house is built? You ever walked into a casino and a casino has no clocks anywhere in it? The carpet is set a certain way. It's always set the carpet is set with zigzags, some type of pattern. You walk into McDonald's or any fast food place, is never comfortable, but everything's set based on a certain color scheme. Then you get attracted to the color scheme. You ever look at certain things in that certain nature, and that's what it equates, and look at why does it equate that way? Why would they build this stadium? You ever walked into the mall and look at the food court and ever notice it's always like a dome? Little things like this are the program. These reinforce the program. These house the energy. You'll sit here and battle back and forth. We built the pyramids. Okay. It ain't about the pyramids. It's not about the pyramids that were built and what they were built. What were they used for? If I give you this distraction of saying aliens built the pyramids, and then you want to argue that our aliens didn't build the pyramids, you're not even looking at the structure of why that structure was built in the first place. Why is this like this? Why is the schoolhouse full of Bell, go to this class, Bell, go to this class, me being corralled around for an entire day? You get stuck fighting. You get stuck letting your ego run the show. You get stuck allowing your ego to keep putting more and more burdens on your fucking heart. Man, I can't go do that because if I do that, then I don't have money to do this. Or I can't do this, or I can't do really what I want. I only can do what I can. Man, something's always something. Something's always coming up. Something always, you some different subjects that you can't fight your way out of. Man, this retrograde is killing me. And then you get higher into your consciousness. You get higher into your consciousness of yourself, but you're still subjected to the thinking of a lower level. Because you're not thinking, you're not truly moving into the thought process of getting to understand. You're stuck into the thought process of just getting by or surviving. Whatever level you get to, you just want to survive long enough to say that you were there. You survive long enough in a certain space just to say you're there. That's the whole thought process. Getting stuck in your heart, getting stuck in your mind, you never actually listen to your heart. You never follow your heart. You never follow your heart. You never learn intuition. You never learn what to look for because you're not looking at everything. Because you were taught based on subjugative thought. On this level, for them, they can't see everything as you see it. Because they put you stuck in this process called time. So now that you're stuck in time, I never have enough time to do this. I never have enough time to do that. If I do this tomorrow, if I say I'll do this tomorrow, then I'll have time to do what I wanted to do today. Now you're stuck in polarity. Now you're stuck in cause and effect. Now you're stuck in vibration. Now that stuff is in your mind. Now your mind, remember the mind is all, everything's mental. So as above, so below. So if I'm thinking it up here, I have to feel it down here. If I'm thinking it up here, then I'm going to feel it down here. Then I put it on my heart. Now my heart hurts. Now my heart aches. Because I thought this person was going to love me forever. Instead of thinking the physical is not forever. The physical has never been forever. You come into a thought process thinking that all of this just happened as you got here. That's ego. Ego will have you thinking that everything is happening based on you being here. But if you're not here, then what the fuck is it? If I'm not at work, then you get into thought process like this. I used to have that thought process all the fucking time. If I'm not at work, shit goes down and shit gets bad. Damn, maybe I need to stay. I'll get some more hours. Now that I do this, my true purpose, and I'm in my calling, nothing stops me from being on my square. So since nothing's stopping me from being on my square, standing in my truth, standing in myself, standing in my knowing, I can accept the consequences to every cause and effect of what I choose. I can choose to be in any position that I must be in at a point in time and accept everything that comes with it. because I know it's needed to be done in order for me to get the result that I'm looking for. It's validating. I'm validating me. This takes you out of the thought process of even arguing with people. Arguments is another. When you argue with someone, you're arguing with yourself. You chose a side in your mind. The first argument is with yourself. That first conversation, before you even go argue with somebody, you've already put your talking points in. If they say this, then I'm going to say this, because that's what I would think. This is what I would do. This is how I would move. Then you put the burden on your heart, trying to base what you're thinking and what you're doing on somebody else's actions. Man, if she come over and I pop them hot pockets in the oven and I turn on that Netflix special, I'm gonna get some. That's your thought, not hers. She came over to actually eat. She probably got you on her phone stored under food guy number 6. But you're not willing to subject yourself to that thought for fear of it not working for you. If there were no white people, there were no white people, there was no antagonist at this level, this shit would just keep going on over and over and over again. We need a world with no war, all love, nature, trees, flowers. If you were subjected to a thought process like that, of hoping for something like that, children being the future and all this other shit, then how would you know if you're conscious? How would you know if you're awake? How would you know if you were doing how would you know if you were doing shadow work? Would there be a purpose for shadow work? Rituals. Constant conflict. At this level, the archons, the entities at this level, they need constant conflict because they're stuck on a timeline. There's a timeline for them. There's no timeline for you. There's no timeline. There's no timeline for you. That's why you can see and you can understand looking at a timeline. Just think about this in progression. They give you something that makes you think that something progressed by giving you an iPhone 11, 12, 13, 14, the Samsung Galaxy 96. It has 3 more fucking cameras. They give you something in a false sense of progression on this level. So you're like, see, it's advancing. Nothing's advancing. Nothing's changing. Nothing's evolving at this level outside of you. The only thing that's changing, the only thing that's shifting, the only thing that's evolving is you. This is how you validate and see that, damn, I have changed a lot. The things that I used to argue about and try to go get argumentative about, I don't argue with anymore. You start looking at things like, why the fuck would I even argue that point? What does it matter if I vote or not? Let me do critical logic. What did I learn in 5th grade social studies? That there's an electoral college, and then they elect a representative based on a number of votes, and then they make they do the election. So my vote really doesn't fucking matter. Let me cause conflict, vote or die. Let me cause conflict, vote or die. Your vote matters. We're going to make you think that we're going to give you the distraction that your vote matters. We're going to give you Barack Obama as your president. See, your vote mattered. Yeah, I voted that year. That's how we got Obama. I made a change. I did something. My heart feels better now. I did something. Man, that nigga didn't do shit for us. He didn't give us free gas. He didn't give us this. He didn't give us this. This didn't happen. The fuck? Think of how inherently stupid you would feel if he did do something for you. What would it advance for you? The symbolism of something like Barack Obama, and Bobby Hemmett broke that down a lot, was the rising of you into power. Standing at your square in your nobility and your truth. Everything that Barack Obama did, he stood in his truth. Outside smoking on the White House lawn, smoking a box of Newports. Letting rappers into the Oval Office. It gave you an image of you can be what the fuck you are if you subject yourself to certain things at this level. That's all it ever showed you. At this level, everything that's always showed to you is showing you that you should subject yourself. If you subject yourself to these hues or these views or these opinions, then you can do what you want to fucking do. I remember when I had a my high school coach. I didn't play any sports in high school down when I was here. I did boxing and a whole bunch of other things like that. But we had a coach, and he would not allow the basketball players to have braids, locks, afros, or anything. They had to have their hair cut. They had to have their hair cut low. They had to keep their hair cut low because it didn't look professional. It took me a while to realize that fast forward to now, they have to pass a law for you to wear your hair naturally how it comes out of your head. Motherfuckers are going to fucking court to battle the way something naturally comes out of my head. What is the point of me arguing and choosing a side? I should be able to wear my hair how I want in a space that clearly doesn't. Why would I subject myself to something lower than me? My knowledge, my knowing, my understanding, my spiritual intelligence does not allow me. This is how you kick into your consciousness. Just how you know you're truly awake. This is how you know you're truly at that level. It doesn't allow me to subject myself to something that's lower than me. Well, you ain't gonna make this money. All right, cool. The ritual thought process, that's similar to, I guess I'll talk about something about Valentine's Day. Something like a holiday. In celebration of something with no true thought, what is the purpose of it? It doesn't matter if you sit here and choose a side. I don't celebrate any of these pagan ass holidays. Okay, that's nice. I do it for the kids. Okay, that's nice. What side matters? This is why I don't do it, man. They pedophiles and they monsters and they beasts. Okay. Our mindset should be the negative and the positive, feeding from the chaos, feeding from the calamity. Before I left my house this divine day, I lit a red candle, a yellow candle, and a white candle over there on my altar, amongst my other candles. My yellow candle, my intention for my I am prosperity and abundance. My white candle was I am pure. I'm pure of mind, pure of heart. And my red candle was for the intention of absorbing that energy. Before I left, Thursday, when I put together this lecture for tonight, I put together the entire ritual in my mind, created the ritual in my mind, and then displayed every piece for my ritual leading to tonight. I did it all in my mind. You get to that level where you create the ritual in your mind, the scenario in your mind. And this is what it will do as you create your ritual. And my ritual that I created in my mind for myself, set my intention based on me being prosperous, me being abundant, me being pure, me being of power, all power being mine. I am chaos. I control chaos. And then I walked out the door. And then I went to my job. And I absorbed every ounce. Even right now, I'm absorbing every ounce of energy of this day. I'm absorbing all of this energy of my day. And then I'll release it on Sunday. Sunday being my death day. And I will celebrate on the 16th of this month the death of another part of myself. And I will celebrate the birthing of me becoming of more of what I'm becoming. Once you understand the spell, once you understand the spell, you manipulate it for your own gain. What you decide to use the spell for is based upon what you need it for, what intent that you set. At this space, at this time, your mind should only be into your magic, into your intention of creating things in your mind. I'm gonna do this, this, and this. This represents this represents that, this represents that. It's in my head. It's in my mind. It's in my subconscious. It's in the land of Osiris. It's in the land. It's in my sunken place where it cannot be moved or faltered or altered by any other thought. My ego is neutralized to only do the things that I tell it to do. But what is somebody going to think? I don't care what somebody else thinks. If they want to understand it, they can sit there and ask me the question. Let's see how strong their throat chakra is and how in alignment or how hungry they are for the information. Other than that The fuck doesn't matter. You don't understand me. No, you don't understand yourself. You don't love me. No, you don't love yourself. You don't miss me. No, perhaps you're missing something about yourself. When you get to a certain level of understanding, you understand that certain motherfuckers just want to argue. They need an argument. They need something. They need conflict in their life. They need constant conflict based on the timeline of polarity. This equals this. If I say this, and then give you something to think about. If a motherfucker is having, if two people have been together for 5 years, and since year one, they fight, they fuck, and they make up for 5 years. They have the same exact arguments, make up, same exact arguments, make up. They may even split for a couple of months. One of them may go live their best life. The other one to sit there sad. Then they get back together. But they've done that for 5 fucking years. Unconsciously, the reason that they have to continue being in that space is because unconsciously, unknowing, and based on not understanding that in order for them to actually stay in that space and to benefit from what they're getting from that space, they need that conflict. In this level, they need that conflict. They need constant conflict. They need you to constantly, they need your attention based on conflict. That's the only way they can succeed any type of power. We come from a space of a happily ever after. We knew how it began and we know how it ends. We're growing into the understanding of everything between and the understanding to be worthy of the end of this level. The reason that we're stuck here, the reason that you get stuck here is because something's on your heart that you haven't let go of, that you haven't let go, and you haven't let go in the aspect of understanding it. And since motherfuckers aren't doing the work, they get stuck in the, oh my God, this shit hurts. I hope for a better day tomorrow. What the fuck are you hoping for? I don't hope for anything. I don't promote hope. I don't promote anything. I don't promote anything that ties to humanity. My mindset is to separate, when I do speak, is to separate you from humanity. Because in order to understand the message that is conveyed, you have to be void of ego. You have to be open to a level to where the context of what I'm speaking enlightens you or leads you to your enlightenment. Anything outside of that doesn't even matter. It's not feeding your soul. What the fuck is the purpose of it? If it's not feeding your soul, what is the purpose of it being in your life? But I got a car note. Okay. What are you sacrificing? How are you finding balance in your day-to-day? How are you finding balance? How are you putting yourself into a position to where you're understanding the balance. What are you doing in your life to bring balance and harmony to yourself? Cutting yourself off from one side is just gonna cause imbalance because you're now stuck on the other side. It's about the balance. It's about putting yourself into a position mentally and spiritually to understand that's their balance. So if spiritually you're in balance and in tune, mentally you're in balance and in tune. So now you're in tune. There's no burden on my heart. That's where the heart and the feather, weighing your heart against the feather, comes from. That's the whole thought process behind that. So now I'm in balance. What did I let go of? What did I sacrifice to give myself balance? My balance has nothing to do with anybody else. My balance has nothing to do with anyone else's balance. My prosperity, my abundance, my manifestations, my intentions have nothing to do with anyone else. They're based upon my divine mind, my divine rights, my divine purpose, where I'm at. We get stuck in human thought like, but I love her. I love him. They always accepted me for who I was. People accept you for who you are in fear of what you can become. If a person truly accepts you for who you are, they will fear what you can become. And you will start seeing that in how they act and react to the things that you do. They'll leave you subjective to thought and try to do things based on the humanity aspect, just to say they did something for you. I bought you all those things. Here's a clear sign of something being degenerative. Finally said that word right the first time. Here's the sign to understand something's at a degenerative state. When things can be itemized, they're at a degenerative state. If I can sit here and go down a list of things that I've done, after I stated this list of things that I've done, there's only one of two things left to do. Continue adding to this list or walking away. Continue adding to that list of thoughts or walk away, clearing my heart. That's a state that a lot of people can't get to. So you create a list based off of your emotion. Remember how I talked about the emotional reaction? You created a list based off of emotion, or your energy and motion. I gotta save the black people. I gotta come up with an economic plan. I gotta create a family-based structure. I gotta do this. I have to do this outlandish amount of things, hoping that I can get this entire list completed, because then I'm complete. Once I get this entire list done, I'm complete. Everything's perfect. Everything's okay. I can move on. You'll never get that list done because you'll always find something else to add to that list. You'll go down this entire list. You'll continue adding shit to this fucking list based on human thought. Human thought is this ultimate sin to your soul. The ultimate statement of ignorance to your soul. Human thought is the ultimate sin to your soul. The ultimate sin to your soul. Human thought. Thinking that if I have to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, what if you don't succeed? Then you're sad. You're upset. You're angry. You find an antagonist or you find a protagonist to a reason why you couldn't get it done. I can't come with an economic plan because white people keep holding me down. They won't give me a bank loan. I can't do this because of this. I can't do anything because of you. That shit has nothing to do with anybody else but you. If you accept something into your life, you must accept everything of it at that level. So if something is stopping you from doing what you're doing, it's in reflection of you, something in your mind stopping you from doing it. You put that there to stop you from doing it. You got in that relationship based off of emotion of, I'm tired of being lonely. That karmic relationship. Every exchange of energy is sacred. So every dealing in a relationship is sexual. You do things based off of lust all the fucking time. Motherfuckers do stuff based off of lust all the fucking time. If I go out and drink with my homies and pay for the drinks, I get the recognition of being I get the recognition of being that nigga. If I go out and drink with my girls and I pay for all the drinks, I'm that bitch. So you put that on your heart. So the moment that you're not able to do it for some strange reason, and then someone says, so you ain't going out? Now you have to make a decision. Keeping my ego intact or getting my heart in order? Keeping my ego intact or putting my heart in order? At this point in time, to anybody that I used to deal with in that thought, in this context, all I provide is knowledge. My thoughts, my interpretations, knowledge. That's all I can provide. My account for my self-love and my self-worth is so abundantly in a prosperous state that I cannot afford to give out or allow withdrawals that I know can never be repaid based on the level of sacrifice that it took me to get that currency, get my power in order, get my heart in order. Now, this requires me to be the devil or the monster in their life. That's what that requires me now to be. You have to be okay with that in your heart of hearts to remove that burden or that mark off of your heart so you can move forward. And you must allow what happens to happen as it plays out. Your ego will have you balancing on a balance beam of trying to keep this person happy and that person happy and that person happy. What about you? Your ego will have you trying to synthesize or rationalize your own thought process to fit somebody else's perspective. Your girl can go on Facebook all fucking day and post pictures about romance. And that's what they believe romance is. And you can look at it and you'll make the decision, damn, that's what she wants. And then you have one or two decisions to make. Are you going to subject yourself to that thought process and go through that motion? Or are you going to stay true to yourself? Are you going to subject yourself to the motions on one side? Or are you going to stay true to yourself and customize what you're doing? Standing on your square, standing in your truth. %90 of people that understand, people that I've known forever know that I don't miss people. They know the reason I don't miss people. They know the backstory to why I don't miss people. Because so many people have transitioned in my life from an earlier age that it created a space in my mind that I had to work on of understanding that nothing is forever. So the point that in my mind, creating that scenario in my space, the moment that I miss something is I'm categorizing it in a space of what I have to create in that space of what I miss about it. And if I'm able to itemize it, it's already in a degenerative state. So I don't miss anything. I don't put myself into the mindset of missing anything. Because everything is full circle. It's always going to come back if I didn't learn from it in the beginning. The person's not forever. It's what I've learned in that space. If I learned everything that I needed to learn in that space, then naturally I'm going to gravitate away from that space. Naturally. Naturally, you gravitate to a different space. You gravitate to a different frequency. To everything that's going to be on that frequency at that next level, it was initiated in its own parallel on that path, in its own path. That's why love is an action. Love is a decision. I allow myself to be possessed and fully engulfed in the chaos and the madness of love, that it will change and evolve me and remove things that are no longer beneficial to my own worth, to my own value, to my own knowing, to my own truth. So I create the scenario in my head. What if this ends tomorrow? Did I do everything I needed to do that if this shit ends tomorrow, that I don't come back here? That's my entire thought process amongst other processes of thoughts and intentions within my mind, within myself, within me knowing myself. Beginning, middle, and end. If I'm not willing to think about what if it ends tomorrow, any relationship, did I get everything I needed to get out of it? Okay, yeah. Then that means it did what it was supposed to do. Because I'm not basing my shit on time. That's where you can get into the thought process of you can meet somebody tomorrow that unlocks a certain fire within you, karmic flame type thought process, that unlocks a certain intent or a certain energy within you that another person can never do. That's based off their energy and their wavelength and their frequency, where they're at mentally. When your mind is open to this thought process, you naturally gravitate towards those energies around you. That's your soul tribe. That's the tribe that you need to get in tune with. People naturally go back to their natural state based on the depth of themselves of what they understand. People naturally go back to a state of themselves based on the truth of themselves. I will always naturally return back to no matter how far I go away. Look at the Chronicles of Riddick when the Necronomicon, the necromancy, the motherfucker was actually able to go and come back to his square. Me looking at my truth, I always will come back to this natural state of myself. I've always came back to this natural state of myself. I center myself. No matter how much chaos or calamity happens around me, I always center back to myself. Because in the space that I created, everything that I need is in that space. When that space no longer serves me or I feel constricted, this is where a lot of people get. This is one big thing that your ego would go against. Why don't you just change? Just put some flowers, get some new furniture, fill the space with something else different, so you can look at something different. So the space changes. The space didn't change. You're still constricted. You just made the space smaller. Empty mind, full house. Full house, empty mind. No, but I always say that. Yeah. Empty space, empty mind, full house. Full mind, empty. Yeah, I said it. Yeah. Empty mind, full house. Empty house, full mind. My mind is full. My heart is full. My mind is full of everything that I need. It's open to this space that everything that I need is within me. I don't need anything outside of me to define me as what I am. I need nothing outside of me to define me. I don't need anything outside of myself to define what I am. Everything that is a part of my person has been invoked with my energy and my power to give me a standing or a encapsulation of my power and energy. I define my power by everything that I structure myself around me. So since that is my thought process, I don't put anything inanimate around me that does not define my power or define what I am. Not based on the validation and understanding of others, based on the validation and understanding of myself. That's that key aspect. Not based on what other motherfuckers think, but based on what I know. creating my own totems, so to speak, for my power. When you build your altar, you're building a totem to your power. You put the fruit up there for you. You put up fruit, water, certain trinkets for your ancestors to represent each ancestor that you work with, and spiritually, that power is invoked within you. That's why when you see pictures of monsters, or you saw pictures, when they showed the pictures of the monsters, they saw motherfuckers with tails and fucking wings. That was an extremity embracing their power. So when you look at the principles and you look at Set, when you start understanding the principles, how the principles are understood. When you look at Set, it's always shown with the face of a jackal or the face of an ass because he was stubborn. Stubborn to the fact in that animalistic thought process of itself, your lower self, and you rising into your higher self. So you understand that on one end of the polarity, you can be stubborn in your animalistic lower half and not want to evolve. But in the higher half, you're stubborn and standing on your square in your own truth. So the negative and the positive, two sides of the same coin. The negative state of, which would be explained in the definition of what a narcissist is devoid of feelings and to manipulate others so it doesn't have to use its feelings. But on the higher level of Gnosticism or Gnostic with the narcissist, the Gnostic is the higher level of the Gnostic, of the narcissist. I am void of allowing my emotions to control how I navigate, because I now have an understanding of my own power structure, my power base, everything that's based upon my truth, my square, where I stand, is not beneficial based on anything else around me. It's not to be validated by anyone else around me. My value doesn't depreciate. My value in myself, in my love of myself, my knowing of myself does not depreciate based on somebody else saying, nah, I don't like that. I don't care what somebody else does. I do not put myself into the thought process of what somebody else likes about me, what somebody else loves about me. Because when you subject yourself to this thought process, this is when you get into the thought process of this used to happen and this used to happen and this doesn't happen anymore. Why? Do you really want the answer? You'll be given the emotional response of, you don't do this anymore. You don't hold my hand. You don't do this. You don't do that. Based in that thought process, the structure to yourself, what would you do? What was happening in the beginning that equated me to do that? 85% of relationships now in this moment in time are based upon benefits of, based on the what you identified as. I changed all this about myself just to be with you. Good luck with that. You failed. That's so fucking heartless. No, that's the fucking truth. I do not take myself into a thought process based on other people accepting me, because then I'm now subjecting myself to human thought. I subject myself to the weekend. I subject myself to persecution. That's what you do. That's That's what the thought process behind a job is. If you don't understand, job is like when you look at the Hebrew or the etymology of the word job, job means persecution. You allow yourself to be persecuted for a salary to earn. Of course, of course. Your mind frame, always on time. It's all about that alignment. You allow yourself to be subjected to a thought process of time, so earn. Your mind, the phenotype for the word earn, not even thinking about it. Ashes, you put your ashes into the urn, you collect yourself into an urn. And at the end of a week, now you're too weak. Now the weekend, now you're too weak to do anything that you want to do. You only can do what you can do. And then you subject your heart to, damn, I never have time to do anything I really want to do. I never have time to do this or do that. And then you subject yourself to the vexes. Anything's better than this. This level, this land, this realm is of addiction and exploitation. Feeding from your addictions and feeding from your exploitations. And then you're given different instruments or different vexes of exploitations to yourself, to exploit yourself, to take your mind off of what it is you need to work on. Working 120 hours at a job has the same effect on your mental as sitting in your house and taking copious amounts of drugs into your system or copious amounts of alcohol into your system. Same shit. Which addiction is going to benefit you? Which addiction is going to serve as creating structure for a purpose? And which addiction is going to serve as an escape? Anything's better than this. Then that goes back to childhood trauma. You're bonding off of traumas. It's easy for everybody to bond off of, we all sat down and all smoked. It's easy to everybody to bond over drinks. But who's really bonding over collective thought? Once we have an understanding of collective thought and actually open-minded into that thought process, then we can introduce these other alterings or offerings to our higher self. We were taught that this was this and this is bad, but you never understand the intention of what it was in the beginning. That's what we need to get back to in the structuring of understanding what is on my heart. That's similar to the motherfucker. If a person tells you, if you do something without setting an intention, that's what I meant. That's what I mean by setting an intention. If you're not doing things set on setting an intention by when you do it, like if I sit here and I smoke this very potent mixture of herbs, the intention of this is to enhance my enlightenment to the next level. When I set the tone to the lectures, I set tones to the lectures based on different binaural beats, different binaural musics. Because I understand that whenever I structure around that rhythm, that vibration matches the vibration of what I'm speaking. So it's speaking to that intent. The one I'm listening to right now is opening up the heart chakra. I'm speaking about the heart being the true mind. So when I set the intention, I set the intention in my mind. It's already set in my mind what I'm already setting. So as I'm reading and as I'm speaking, everything that I speak is under the intention into the focus of what I'm focusing on onto that level. So everything that I talk about on my topics stays on point to the level that it needs to be spoken on. That's similar to that's when I do the podcast and I put the music behind the podcast, because I have an understanding that the chiefs and the shamans and our ancestors, whenever they spoke to music. The tone in the music, I understand, and I can manipulate sound in creating a sound within the sound, within the light, within the frequency, within the message. So it's like whenever you listen to something that has that similar sound, that thought process, that thought that's already been imprinted into your mind now is in your life. Breaking away from subjective thought, opening up my mind to a higher level of understanding. So now I'm not sitting here and I won't say, man, fuck Kevin Gates. Fuck 21 Savage. Fuck this new music. Let me listen to the beat. Let me learn how to alter the beat so I can use that beat in my works. Let me learn how to use that chaotic rhythm to move and set my intentions within it. That way, wherever I go, even if I hear that song, it doesn't mean what the song said, because I'm on a higher level than it, so I can use it for my own gain. That's the purpose when you come into your consciousness. Customizing that shit on your path. What works for me is not what works for me. I can give you the methodology. I can give you the steps. Do this, do this, do this, set your intention, do this, set this, but it's all based off the work that you put into it. So the more work that you put into it, based on your rhythm, based on what you want, based on you understanding that you're not doing this, you're not doing a prosperity ritual based on getting more prosperity. You're enhancing you already understand that you are prosperous. You already understand that you are abundant. You already understand that you are pure. You already understand that you are light. Your heart is lighter than a feather. So everything that you set in intention to your message, to your method of you creating your spell and your ritual works for you. Instead of subjecting yourself to somebody else setting it for you. There's some that's what they want, and that's what they'll go search for. But when it comes to me, if you're waiting for me to give you a ritual and say, go do this, this, and this, to use me as the protagonist in your life, like, oh, it didn't work, that means that nigga's a fraud. Nigga, I didn't tell you to follow me. I told you to study and research what the fuck I just said. I gave you every key point of what you needed to study. If you want to do a breathing exercise, I can teach you the breathing exercises. If you want to do a ritual, a candle ritual, I can teach you the candle ritual. But I'm not showing you to follow me. I'm showing you to be on the level. I'm speaking to you as you're on the level that I'm at. You're following me in the sense of studying it. You're following me in a level of resonating or reflection of you studying yourself. Anything outside of that's not the path to enlightenment. Someone asked me the other day, it was actually yesterday, what does it all mean? You seem spiritual. Asking me what does it all mean, what it all means to me is different than what it all means to somebody else. Someone asks me what does it all mean, I'm like, burn all this shit down. Somebody else may click in about, yeah, burn all this shit down. So don't save the puppies. Fuck them puppies. They're going to sustain themselves based on what the fuck they already know and what they gather anyway. But what about my kids? At a certain point in time, your kids ain't going to listen to you anymore anyway. They're going to create their own entire life of sustaining based on the things that you teach them, based on the things that you show them. Now, are you basing your things based off knowing, or are you basing your teaching off of knowing or believing? That's when you get into that thought process. Whenever I want to be my child's best friend, I want them to be able to tell me everything. What? You want your kids to tell you everything? In tune, in tandem, in reflection, that means you must be able to tell your children everything. They're not ready for that. Then you're not ready to know everything from them. Common sense, simple and plain. When you take that thought process into your mind when you're moving forward, if they're not ready to hear it, then if someone's not ready to hear something, why do you subject yourself to being related to them? Why are you trying to find a relation to them to make them comfortable? Now you're causing the resonate. Now you're resonating something like, okay, if I sat here and I'm always in a positive state based on my truth, based on my know. If I have to subject myself to somebody else outside of my realm to make good, most people connect to you. The most negative person needs you as you're being positive. This is how that law of attraction works, based on polarity. They connect to you based off their negative, based onto your positive. You're always so positive. Yeah. The moment that they speak something positive about you, and then you speak something positive in turn to them, disconnect. They can't feed from it because opposites attract. So if I'm in a state stuck on polarity, I must have a constant conflict with white people. In order for them to matter. So what do I need to make them matter? Let me create something to make them matter. I can't get a fucking bank loan because of white people. All right, cool. Did you look at your fucking credit? Common sense things for yourself. You need the separation. The separation breeds elevation. If you don't have separation if everybody around you thinks the same, nobody's growing. Somebody's lying. Somebody's holding back. If everybody around you thinks the exact same, in this context, if everybody around you thinks the exact same, somebody's holding back. Is it you? They're all reflections of you. Everybody's a reflection of somebody. Now, I don't like telling them I don't want to talk about ankhs and crystals and shadow work and what demon really means, because then they're going to look at me like I'm weird. You need that scenario in your head. If you can sit there and have that argument with yourself, you know you're going to have a conversation to be around certain people, and you got to shut off if you have to shut off certain parts of yourself to be around certain people, then you shouldn't be around those people. You should gravitate towards people that are more like-minded into your thought process in that collective consciousness. But though I knew them for years, okay. Just like I just said, you can meet somebody tomorrow that has a enticement in your growth in advancing and opens up a different level to you than the motherfucker that you knew for 12 years based off sentimental value. That's the importance when you're thinking about elders. But we're given a constructive time polarity. So an elder is anybody that is older than you. That's not the case. An elder is anyone that has an elder is anyone that has a higher sense of knowledge based on a subject that you are an infant to. So to somebody that's 40 to my now 34, if we want to do constraints of time, somebody that's in their 40s or their 50s, if they were to listen to the message that I speak, I would be an elder based on the knowledge that I display. When you're put into this constraint of time, this is how that Willie Lynch letter works. Put the old against the young, the new against the old, and all this bullshit. You won't listen to, you won't watch a child, you won't watch a baby or an infant use their imagination to create their space. That's a learning point for you. They're learning from you and you're learning from them. You learn more from an infant than you learn from yourself, someone your own age. Because they're fresh. They're fresh to the realm. But since we've been taught and indoctrinated based on subjugation, that subjective thought, your thought process in your mind, you'll sit there and be like, no, I don't want to listen to that. That has nothing to do with me. That doesn't feed my ego. That's what it's only feeding, is your ego. That doesn't feed my ego. That doesn't feed my feeling. But yeah, based on your aspect of your thought process to your mind and how you move and how you put yourself in what you subject yourself to, how is it taking you to the next level? How are you growing? How are you getting better? How is it strengthening you? That's what you should focus on. That's how you remove those burdens. If it teaches me and advances me, I'm willing to subject myself to it. That's similar to our natural teaching structure is to know everything about something. We say this shit unconsciously all the time. You go to a party or an event, who's all over there? You got to know who's over there, because knowing who's all over there bases your thought process on, well, I don't like that person because of this, this, and this. I don't fuck with that person because of this, this, and this. I don't deal with that person because of this, this, and this. So I'm not going to go over there. Subjective thought of how you being like, well, I'm not going over there for them. I'm going over there. What you were taught when you were in school, when your mother was like, you don't go to school to have a fashion show. You go to school to fucking learn. You were subjected to a thought So I'm not doing it for them. So in both aspects of polarity, on one end, that's how your mind should work. On the lower end, that's how your mind gets stuck. You have to find your balance. That's how that balancing comes in. That's why everything has to fall into balance. I don't go to certain aspects. I don't go to certain aspects now in my consciousness. Or I don't say certain things because I have an understanding that if I put certain things into my mind, they become part of my environment. So motherfuckers talking about fucking bitches all the fucking time, and they got fucking kids and baby mothers and relationships that they're in. I don't subject myself to certain individuals because that's not the environment that I want to create for myself. I don't want to be that perception to be placed onto me because I cannot control I cannot change the thoughts of somebody else's mind, but I can damn sure control my reaction to it or my involvement in it. So I don't open my mind to, that's why I shut my mind off to Black Lives Matter. That's why I shut my mind off to humanity-based hope initiatives. I know that there's no such thing as the future, it's only now. Based on the decision that I make now controls the next now. So a thought process of the programming of the children are our future, that doesn't exist for me. Because everything that I do now creates that space for anything that's at that level. So my nieces and nephews, in future tense, when you think about polarity at this level, when they get old enough, everything that I've spoken in every single lecture, when they get to a certain point in time, if they're in alignment or if there's that time for them to come online, everything's already put out there and it's written on stone. That was the whole thought process of putting everything in stone. It wasn't to celebrate, we built the pyramids. It wasn't to celebrate that shit. It was to put in stone so when you look at it, it activates something within you. It removes and then it triggers the traumas in your table of contents that is your life that you now have to study. This is why that happened, and this is why that happened. I had a conversation earlier today with one of my homegirls, and she was like, "Why New Orleans?" And we were talking about New Orleans. I was like, "Well, my father and my grandmother was heavy in black magic and voodoo, and earlier parts of my father's family was into voodoo, witchcraft, black magic, all of the arts of understanding ourselves onto that level." And then I watched the video. It was funny because I watched the video yesterday talking about how you choose your family and choose everything that comes into your life. You chose your path. You chose everything that come. You chose every marker in your path based on learning. Oh God! 1 second. Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! That was a big one. You chose your life based on the existence and your path, and everything comes into alignment as it's supposed to. So my grandmother that was heavy into her craft, it led me into the study when I was researching, talking about the saints. When you talk about what is it? I just forgot. You talk about Santa de Muerte, or you talk about the saints and how voodoo practitioners, when they were studying their craft, they used the names of the saints similar to when you use the principles of Mayad and Tahuti or whatever pantheon it was to still do their works. So when my grandmother transitioned, my grandmother left me her Bible. Opening up her Bible, there was stuff written beside all over Psalms. Later on, I went and got the book. There's a book that I actually recently just got back into reading. The name of the book is, and it's on Scribe, best app on the planet for PDFs. $8.99 a month. You can get any PDF you want. As soon as it loads. Nope, that's the book we talked about last week. Shadow Work in the Sacred Space. Don't ask me again. The name of the book is, one book is The Magical Power of the Saints by Ray T. Marlborough. And the book that helped me understand my shit talking about this, Hoodoo in the Book of Psalms. That's my mind opening up that resonated with me to study more. You're going to get to a point when you're going through all of these books and you're going through your scholarship part and validating. Reading the book is more like validation and confirmation to what you already know. You're not reading the book you'll get stuck because subjective thought. We were taught in school to read books to learn, when in reality, the book is validation to you. Something that you already knew already. So when you read a book, you're reading a book as you're reading a book in understanding of yourself. Similar to when Bobby Hemmett broke down, when you read the Bible, when you actually open up the Bible and you read it, everywhere that you see the word Jesus, everywhere you see the name Jesus, put your name there. Everywhere you see Lucifer, well, I think it's only 3 times in that entire book. And that was just creating a protagonist of creating an image to it. Put your name there. When you read the Torah, when you read the Quran, whenever you see the name of a deity, whatever it is, put your name there. Okay, that goes into the thought process of the mystery schools when they went through the initiation and they said, okay, read the book. And then after you studied all the principles of Tahuti, Mayat, Baset, Sekhmet, you studied all of these deities and their principles, and then you were told, all that's you. And then when you get into the mythos of understanding us on a deeper level, in your subconscious mind, that taught you created all of the gods. So the pantheon of the Orishas, the pantheon of the Congorites, Voodoo, you created these aspects of yourself to better understand and wield your power. So it isn't about knowing, it's about feeling. Your heart is in order. Your heart, that's why everything starts at the heart. So you have to remove the burden of thinking something is going to hurt you or hinder you or stop you. Nothing can stop you. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing can hurt you in the aspect of you can't be hurt. Just changing that vibration and that shit wasn't hurt. Shit doesn't hurt you anymore. You can heal yourself. All this something outside of you needing to heal you that keeps you locked down into something. These are the things that we have to start. These are the things that you have to start thinking about. And why am I here in the first place? What did I not learn the first time? Why does this seem easier than this? Why does this contradict this? The contradictions, as I always say, the contradictions are what you need to study. This contradicts that. Study the contradiction and it leads you to your next point. Removing that burden of thought, but if I go too deep, it'd be scary. You have to go into the dark anyway. You'll see your own light in the dark. You'll see two lights in the dark. The light that traps you here and the light that takes you out from here. There's two different lights. That light that's surrounded by your ancestors, that light is the light that keep getting your ass stuck here. That light that's you, that you can visualize as gold or your whatever color, that's your true soul that you need to follow. In your physical life, that will always, that shows, remember, as above, so below. So the further that you go into your spiritual self, the further that you're going into your higher self, releasing the burdens of your heart and tapping into your knowing of your true mind, the further that you go ahead, your family isn't going to resonate to you anymore. They're not in relation to you anymore. They were related at a certain time when you identified as your who you identified as, not what you're becoming. That's why certain shit pops out to you and certain shit really doesn't. We're put into this collective thought process, a mind process. That's how you get distracted. And then you be like, oh my God, Kobe died. Then everybody rallies around. Can't believe that bitch said that. And then everybody rallies around Snoop Dogg for what he said. And then you rallying around, yeah. Snoop said, yeah, man, he said that shit. Then everybody got to meme the, oh, Gail, he's looking. And they got the scene from Baby Boy in the meme for further added distraction or mind control. And then you're stuck on that, like, oh my God, okay. And then you see him have a speech talking about, I want to talk about Ride on Her. We're this passionate, and we're this, and we're that. So he didn't stand on his square because he realized that if he stood on his square, he loses what he's gaining from this level. Some people are scared to stand on their square because they're afraid of what they will lose at this level. What you lose at this level is the material. It is the vex against all spirituality. Once you understand that, you understand what to manipulate into what you actually need. Then you stop creating these conduits that make you feel that you need it. Because once you say something as simple as I need a big screen television to play my video games on, you'll never find a television big enough. Because in your mind, it's empty, so your house becomes full. You surround yourself with things that appease your ego so you can say that you did it. So you can feel like you're a part of something when you're actually a part of nothing. That's another vex. That's another cipher that you get stuck in. Ego will have you thinking that everything revolves around you. Your higher self takes you to the understanding that everything is of you. History. That's why when we studied and how we study and we take in everything at this lower level based on emotion. We're not upset with what happened. We're upset with not knowing. That's what we're truly get upset with. We're upset with not knowing. But what about this? And what about that? And what about this? What about this day? And what about this time? What about if you didn't answer the phone at this moment? What if you didn't say this? If you don't say you love me when I say you love me, then you don't love me. If you don't say you miss me when I say I miss you, then that means you don't love me. And then you create a catalyst of conduits to contain your ego. Then you create an entire identity that you identify by. And then you define it, and then you're stuck in that definition. You define a strong black woman as independent, don't need no man, all these things. That's what was defined for you. So then you created that image, and then in your environment, you get to see that on television. And then you have certain buffoons and coonery, and you got a man that tells you think like a man and all this other shit, and you're like, yeah, that resonates with me. Why does it resonate with you? Because it identifies with who you are, not what you are. That's how you get lost, and that's how you get lost in the environment that you get in. Then you're constantly looking for different protagonists. There's something that you always have to battle against. So since I'm always battling against this outside of me, I never understand what it means for something inside of me. Because that was my escape. You're looking for an escape. As long as you're looking for an escape, you never look within yourself. As long as there's always something to escape to or to be in conflict against, you never have to look at yourself. You never still your mind long enough to actually go deeper. There's a lot of people that are actually stuck in the mindset of, I can't still my thoughts, or I can't still my mind anymore when I meditate. You have to go deeper into yourself. That first sanctuary doesn't cut it anymore because that's not you anymore. That's when I tell people whenever I start doing a consultation, the first thing that I tell you is shadow work is an ongoing process. Shadow work is not, we're going to do a couple of things and I'm going to be all right. I'm going to do a couple more things and I'm going to be all right. No, shadow work is an ongoing process. Shadow work is an ongoing process that you have to continue doing because there's always more gravitation of knowing to yourself. Even when you're getting to the higher ciphers of understanding to yourself where it becomes more mental, that requires even more shadow work. Because you're now at a space where you're gravitating towards more knowing. That's what keeps your hunger. The shadow work entices your hunger, I'll share. The shadow work entices your hunger. It brings you to that level. It takes you to that space. It brings you into that mind frame of understanding your true heart is your mind. The things that you've allowed to overlay your heart are things that are going to be defended by your ego. So you're learning how to neutralize your ego on every single level. Basing your ego off of reactive or emotions or your energy in motion that you have a lack of understanding for. I did it because I was mad. I did it because I was angry. I didn't really mean what I said. I was in my feelings. these thought processes these thought processes and conduits that go into your mind allow your ego to feed off of something. So there's always something to feed off of it. Who was the first person that lied to you? Tell me about your mother. Tell me about your father. Similar to a psychologist, which is what I am. When a psychologist and you first lay down on the couch, tell me a story about your childhood. That's under the same thought process of a person that uses tarot cards to link you in based on your naiveness, you being naive. I'm not saying that there's not spiritually inclined, but you have to listen to what they say. You can tell when somebody's reaching when they're saying something to you to pull you in. They need you in a certain space for a certain ritual because they have an understanding. Motherfuckers can put shit on you if you're serving. They can put shit on you. You're going to get in problem. Cops are going to be on. You're going to get in trouble with the law. No, the fuck I'm not. 3-4 weeks later, you get in trouble with the cops. They put that on you. So now you're like, damn, they were right. Now you go back to them. How do I keep the cops off of me? All right, cool. I need you to get this. Go get a blue candle and light it this day and do this day and do this day and do this day and do this 6 times and say this quote this many times. All they're doing is further instilling themselves into you to feed off of your energy. So now you must follow them. And then they'll tell you about the Orisha that you need to go speak to. Because they signed that contract to that Orisha or that spirit or that entity, and they get everything that they need as long as they keep bringing them offerings. We're past the stuff that we get stuck into when I really tell people about the old spells and writing your own spells and putting together your own rituals. It's because you're tapping and becoming into your own energy, your own self, your own power. To subject yourself to the old rituals is subjecting yourself to that entity to now feed from you. You can get everything you want, but you must serve them and give them offerings of equal intent to get what they give you. So if you give worship to Shango and Shango's of war, conflict will always be in your life. You'll need to have conflict. Therefore, all of the negative friends, all of the negative posts on Facebook, all of the negative posts on Instagram, you're always going to see them because you're always going to react to them because that is the energy that you are now embraced in. You're now engulfed in. That's the energy you're now in. So now that you're in that energy, that's on your heart. That's in your mind. Your heart of heart, that's what you believe. That's what you need. Which is okay if that's what you're okay with. But you'll get stuck here. Taking yourself out of the mind frame of taking that round trip to come back down here. What does it all mean? You got to ask somebody, what does it all mean? That means you're not strong enough to find it out for yourself. neither good or bad. It's negative and positive. What do you need to do to intune yourself into your power? What do you need to do to intune yourself and engulf yourself in understanding yourself? No one else can tell you what opened up in you and all this. That's based upon what works you've been doing. If you don't feel that it's happening, that means you need to put in more work. You need to study more scholarship, more reading, going deeper into yourself. This is nothing. We look for the emotional context based on emotionalism, based on the subjugation of what we were indoctrinated in the first place. So we treat it the same way. So then you'll have the person saying, instead of God doesn't like ugly, they'll say the ancestors don't like ugly. You'll hear yourself replacing one for the other. This side I know is not real, so this side seems more real. Let me make this side real based on what I believe, not what I know. I base what I do off of what I know. And I stand firmly in the belief in what I know, not in the belief of what I think is what I know. That's my balance. So everything on this side is based on belief in thought and feeling and love and light. On this side, I'm basing myself in balance, in tune with dark, in knowing and going deeper inside myself. This is the balance. I didn't choose any side. I know in order to understand this, I must understand this. In order to understand life, I must understand death. In order to understand that there cannot be no new life without death. So I'm above it, holding the balance of those scales. So now I move into my house or my natal chart and I look at Libras in my third house. So I can better explain the methodology of understanding that. So when I have that consultation with somebody, it's coming from a different level of teaching them as an equal, showing them what they have to let go of. Not telling them what they need to let go of, giving them examples of what needs to be let go of to get to this level of understanding and enlightenment in themselves. Study all, follow none. These are the thought processes that you take into your mind as you're understanding your true heart. Therefore, the rituals don't faze you. The distractions don't mean anything to you in the aspect of controlling your emotions. The only reason something resonates with you and gets into your emotion is something that you need to study. It's something that you're stuck in. Something that you're not letting go of. Perhaps it's time to let go of something in your life and you're not willing to let go of it because you're still stuck in the aspects of loneliness or the separation. Perhaps you're still holding on to something in your life. An aspect, you're holding on to something in your life, an aspect that is no longer serving you any purpose. So you find yourself going backwards, going back to the nature of who you are. This is how people get lost. Because you want to bounce back and forth. You can't dwell in both houses. You can't dwell in two houses. You can't be spiritual on Monday and dead on Sunday. Doesn't work that way. Just like in your life unconsciously, you realize once you engulf into something, that shit wants to play all the fucking time. An addiction, an exploitation of your naiveness or your lack of understanding or your lack of wanting to understand or your fear in something. exploitation, and addiction. Anything's better than where I'm at now. Anything's better than where I'm at. Let me escape this world. Let me escape this prison for a little bit. Your mental gravitation naturally pulls yourself into that encompassing thought. That's what I spoke about. That's what I broke down in Light and Dark in the podcast. That's what the podcast was speaking on, mainly into that level. The preemptive thought, or the process of you becoming something better, you becoming something not better, but more than what you are now. That's the thought that you surrender to. That's how you break into your subconscious. That what you are doing is making you better. It's taking you into your higher self, your truer self. I need to become devoid of human thought because I'm not moving as a human. I'm not moving in my humanity. I'm not moving in my ego. I'm not sustaining light. I'm going into my dark. Because as I go into the dark, I'm learning how to graft in your physical world is a reflection of your spiritual world. So the more things you have in your space are the distractions in your spiritual world. So look at television, for example, and the constant stream of media and all the distractions of hate and fear and traumas and symbols and repetition are representations of what resonates in your spiritual world that you're not tapping into. So you get stuck. You get stumped wanting just to, I'm good. I'm just going to put on the Ankh and some crystals and I'll be all right. No. These are enhancements. They're only enhanced by the energy that you put into them. Your knowledge, your understanding of yourself. Anything else, it really doesn't take you anywhere. You're still stuck in the zone. You're still stuck in the zone of belief. Nobody can tell me more about me than me. What I need to know. Oh, whatever it is. Right there. These are the keys, or some of the keys, and methods to your enlightenment. Being stuck on being celibate. Here's a thought. Unconsciously and consciously, a person to tell you everything you need to know and how to deal with that person. Unconsciously and consciously. They tell you everything you need to know, do's and don'ts, based on what they say, their actions, their words, how they move, and how they navigate. From that point in time, if you're paying attention and you're listening to actually learn and not reply, you get everything you need to know up front based on the depth of yourself and understanding of yourself. Outside of that is your perception and your belief based on either ego or knowing. Your definition or how you define something is what sets that standard. Humanity and hope. I can just hope one day that this will happen. You'll be hoping and waiting for that forever. Because if it doesn't happen, then what? What are you going to do next? If you waited your entire life, if you wait another year for somebody to say something to you that you've been waiting for them to actually say, and they never say it, you have a decision to make. Am I going to wait for them to say it? Or am I just going to move on? Once you are able to itemize that list, once you're able to speak that list, the the degeneration has already begun. So once that's said, you have one or two decisions to make. You're going to continue adding to this list, or you're going to clear the slate and take the burden away from your heart. For a lot of people, that actually fucking hurts. But that's an example of what happens in your everyday waking life, of things that you need to let go of. You can keep going around the same people over and over and over again, knowing they ain't shit, but the same bullshit, and you'll stay around them because, but they were with me when this happened, and they were with me when this happened. And I've said that before. If you're not doing it anymore, what the fuck is their purpose? They're a negative to your positive. There's something that you can control because you know what to expect. So you know exactly what to say. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly if a motherfucker is a fucking pothead, you know all you gotta do is bring around some smoke and they're always gonna come around. For motherfuckers is always inebriated, you know all you gotta do is bring the bottle out or take them to a venue where there's a bottle. You know exactly how to exploit them. Their addiction is what you exploit them with. Your addiction is the need for people to be around you. So you're never separated from anything. So everything around you thinks the same. So everything around you, nothing challenges you. So since nothing challenges you, you feel superior. But the moment something challenges you, you feel inadequate. When you feel inadequate, your emotions come into play. You become emotional. Once your emotions come into play, you're no longer feeling, you're based off your thoughts. The thoughts that you get based off on are based off of things that you have not healed from or you have not worked on. They play out in front of you and your ego now defends you. See, this is what happens when you do this. You know what you are. You know who you are. You know what you identify with. Take this, not that. Take this moment to hinder yourself and not heal yourself. The burden's always there. The chaos is always there. But here's something that's going to heal you. Here's something that's going to numb the pain. In reflection, you see what's numbing their pain. The pain of not having a culture. The pain of not having a real thought. The pain of knowing they have to accept responsibility. These are all pointed out in your shadow work of yourself. You can get lost in polarity, in time, hope, humanity. These things in your day to day are what can taint you or train you. What can taint you or train you. Burden and put marks all over your heart, or take you to your next level. Even the betrayal, as we've been shown in many stories over and over again in different mythos, is part of the plan. Because without the betrayal, you don't know what loyalty is. You betray yourself every single day that you lie to yourself, that you don't learn. You betray yourself. The depression, the agony, the sadness, all these things are because you're betraying yourself. Your higher self is done playing the game of let's guess who you are today. And let's tap into what you actually are. So, opening yourself in that balance of your soul ties to people, opening yourself to yourself is conducive and reflective of how you open to others. You can get into that mindset of, but I told them everything and they used it against me. The only way someone can use something against you is if you have not worked on it. I remember when I was first coming to my consciousness and I was just in that Jesus is a real kick. And every time I had a chance that I thought I was going to actually share some shit, somebody always hit me with, man, I was crazy. I was out. There was a truck driver that was on a route for a restaurant that I worked for. And he was like, man, I was a wild dude. I was out here doing crazy shit. And I was just confident enough in myself and knowing who the hell I was. First level. And he was like, man, but Jesus saved me. And then I didn't have a response. I couldn't listen to reply. It was a moment for me to learn. I was like, I'm not strong enough. What in me is not strong enough to believe in myself the way this person believes? What is not strong enough within me to know myself the way that this person believes in Jesus as their savior? That was something that I had to find in myself through my studies, through my travels, through my journey of what me coming to where I'm at now. That's something that I can now explain perfectly. Not perfect. I can explain into the context to where I can stand in that truth. That's a level that's based on my heart. But along that path, I had to let go of anybody that believes in that wholeheartedly is not someone that is conducive to my growth. What about my mother? What about my sisters, my brothers, my family, my friends, people that I used to deal with on a day-to-day basis? They no longer exist. The knowledge did what it was supposed to do. Take me closer to myself, further away from them. These are the structures in the mind constructs that constrict your mind, that lock away your subconscious. You need that time of separation to celebrate and put yourself in the order. You need that time with your voice in that dark space in that room by yourself to understand yourself on higher levels. You need that because without it, you never find you. Am I really strong enough for this? Is this really meant for me? Is it? Is it you? Is this something that you're in tune with? It's not based on anybody else. It's not based on that. It's not based on that person that brought you to that level. It's based upon you. It boils down to what you're able to accept. Not expect, but accept. What you're willing to let go of, what you're willing to sacrifice. Sacrificing your humanity and ego because you know you're going to a level that motherfuckers are not going to understand. And then everything around you starts to change and mimic this thought process. You start not to want to be around certain people. You start not wanting to be around certain people. You start not wanting to be around certain energies. You start not wanting to be in the thought process and in the entrapment that you were entrapped in. And then once that happens, you start noticing things in your Facebook feed, your social media accounts. Certain people don't want to be around you anymore because you're in a different space. They start making excuses not to do things for you or not to be around you. And that's because it's doing what it's supposed to do. That separation is needed because you're going to another level where they're not supposed to go to. If they're meant to go to that space, they'd jump with you, but they're not going to jump with you. That's the shit that has to be broken through in your mind. Understanding why certain people were around you at certain points in time, why you needed certain people, why you did this, why you did that, why you put yourself in these certain positions. That's the shit that's on your mind or your true heart. Your heart, that's your true mind. The shit that you're willing to play out. These are all the things, most of the things. It gets even deeper. I teach that and I do that in the consultations in the life coaching. When you get into shadow work and breath work, all of these methods come together in tandem to take you to your next level. You're not going to connect to something that's going to help you get there. That door is custom to you. It's a custom lock, which is your mind. It's a custom lock, which is your mind. So no one else can hold that door open for you. So you're going to get to that point where some people are not going to be there with you, or you might need that separation away from these people in order for you to get in tune with yourself because they become a distraction. Even the highest level, even a person that's at a higher level in your eyes, in their consciousness, can become a distraction because you haven't reached that level of context yet. Conflict. At the level that you're at and the level that they're at, there's a conflict of interest. But you got to be okay with that shit. Take what you need to take away from it and go sit in your damn corner. Sit in your little sacred space. The program of unity doesn't exist. Everybody's going to make it doesn't exist. I wrote down a reasoning behind karmic thought. And this is my first time reading it myself. Had one of those channeling moments when I started writing shit down. So this is my first time actually reading it. And it's read under the content. I did read that part. Where the hell is it at? Damn, it's so far down. Oh, here it is. From the perspective of self-reflection into neutralize or kill ego. This is the karmic soulmate who has done their work. The karmic soulmate has done their work, comes into our life with the intention to resonate all that we are and all that we can be. Then have free will to remain in the relationship or carry on to the next soul and go further. This reflection bonds through searing. This reflection is going to bond through a searing heat. In some cases, a physical raising of your body temperature and encountering it. The karmic soulmate, that cosmic flame, is connecting to your natural power, your natural kundalini energy. So they make you feel hot. You find yourself at first lost in the way they show attention, affection, devotion to your becoming. Because they're not basing off of your ego. They're not basing over what you need. They're not basing over what you want. They're based off what you need. After you've begun to shift and elevate your very being and growth in the love, self-love, self-value, and worth of self, something changes in them. They naturally go to the other end of the polarity. They go to a space where they now are in full reflection for you to actually do the work yourself. After you've begun to shift and elevate your very being and growing in the love and value of yourself, something in them changes. Now, this is where your ego starts to die. It starts to get challenged. Now, this isn't going to feel great at all. Everything that once had you in the passion of cloud 9 by the soul seems to dissipate. The romance in what seemed to give a vision of forever is very low. Here's the plot twist. Their intention from the start, which is a very hard pill to swallow for some, was to clear the ashes of what was left behind to embark on this ride. into your true self. The fragments of the door and the hinges to the path of the internal you. What the karmic flame that comes into your life based on to that intention, whatever level it may be at, what it does is it's going to remove everything that you once held on dearly to in vex to make you see you. What gets challenged is everything that was in your ego. Now at this point you realizing it. Yeah. Now at this point you realize this event will happen. Now at this point you will realize this event will happen that will force your hand. You'll step back into your old shoes, addiction, vices, etc., to cope with the turmoil uprooted emotions of the said event or events. And the karmic is the reflection. And if the karmic reflect is successful, this is the hard part. You will awaken in a pain that is only means no turning back. What this means is you're going to come to a point in your life when you come into your consciousness or your first and repeat levels of awakening as you rise, you're not going to be able to go back to your coping mechanisms. Your coping mechanisms are what made you able to escape in the first place. They're not going to work anymore. You're going to feel heavily pained in trying to go back to them. Anything that was a conduit that you used to cope with these mechanisms are always going to leave you in your feelings of your old self. You're going to try to challenge this karmic energy to go back to what you were in the beginning, to accept you based on what you were in the beginning. You no longer exist there. They no longer exist there. That's not the intention of that energy. Now, at this point, you'll go down a list of things that happened, repeat the events, repeat the feelings, repeat whatever the fuck it was. And now that karmic flame has 1 to 2 decisions. And it's going to tell you divine truth. It's going to be like, all right, I know what you're becoming. And it's a level of maturity. You've never met this level of maturity before. So based on your polarity and conflict, you'll be scared of it. It'll set you on your ass. So after that, you have one decision to make. Are you going to continue? Or are you going to go back to your natural self, what you thought you were? Now, whatever path you choose, it doesn't involve that karmic soulmate. You cannot base it off of your karmic soulmate. A lot of us get stuck into a thought process, into a pattern of where we meet entities, we meet certain aspects of energy or polarities, and then we want them to stay with us through the entire trip. It's similar to you. My ancestors are always with me. At a certain point in time, your ancestor that was at that point in time for that energy, they're not meant to go to the next space. You're going to get to a point in time in yourself when you're not meant to go to the next level with everybody that was there in the beginning. You have to be okay with that. If you're not okay with that, then that's where you'll stifle your growth at. Your heart will have a burden. You'll allow a burden into your heart. And then you'll argue with yourself trying to find a point of view to make you okay and appease your ego. Shit, I was thirsty. Hereafter thinking and going through it, a choice has to be made by the initiate, reflected by the karmic, to continue the relationship or step away with the lessons learned. Fun fact, nothing will be the same as before. Once you make this decision on your path, nothing is the same as before. You cannot keep looking back as things being the same. If you look back for things being the same, you're losing the point of you going forward. You're going to be stuck in Tartarus. Your body is Tartarus. You're a Titan. You're a higher energy, and you created these things below you. You can become subjective in serving, or you become higher in becoming. You're becoming something more. And then I went into the depths of the soulmate, which is a very interesting key points that I'm going to read off. And then we get into our little question and answer period. Where is it at? 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 There it is. A soulmate is soulmate and stalemate. A soulmate is the one. A soulmate, the soulmate is the one you are going to hate the most, depending on your willingness to see what scars are present after tearing down the identity of ego. It is why it is so hard to love character. It's why the hard to love character is created at this level. That unrealistic list you put together, remember how I told you about the list in generation, is never going to be reached or seen. Your true soulmate is the same as your true life partner. Earlier on in the other lecture, when I got into reflections, I talked about what your true life partner is. Your soulmate is a reflection of your true life partner. The only true life partner that you ever have is you, your soul. Your divine self is your true life partner. You go through everything in life with your soul. That is your true life partner. Your soulmate or reflection, your soulmate or soulmates are reflections of your life partner at the point in time where you need to learn. In reality, what we are is a reflection of the physical relation, is a twin flame or a kindred spirit. On the realist note of the reflection of all we are to come and can, damn, spirit is not letting me read. That's how you know it's that spiritual level. On the realist note, the reflection of all we are to come and are to be are based on that relationship that challenges everything we come into comfort with. That means you're going to be the most uncomfortable around your soulmate. He or she will come in the radiance of thought of feeling, but will tear through in the truest and the highest instance of love. Love is madness. Challenge your what in thought. Challenge your what you thought was it and what you have repressed in feeling. The only way to lose or to learn what burdens keep you in lust of the external is to allow, as this figure takes root, to open up every dark door that's within you to try to hide. We consider the soulmate the opposite for the fear of being. We consider the soulmate at the lower level the opposite for we fear of being alone in our own reality. You consider your soulmate based on the lower or the negative aspect, and you consider your soulmate or who you connect to based on what your fear of being alone. When in reality, your soulmate is going to challenge that very need of being alone. They're going to make you feel more. Your soulmate is going to make you miss your true self. So every time that you say you miss somebody in that aspect, you're missing a true part of yourself. What about that person do you miss? And then when you look at what you miss about that person, how is that missing within you? So it makes you think about if a person never says they miss you, how in tune are they with themselves to never have to miss you? Because they're in tune with everything that they need and they desire. So there's nothing really to truly miss. You can't miss what you've never had. If you're missing something, it's a burden in your heart. You're hoping for it to happen. This is just a little bit of it. As always, around this time, we're going to leave this open for the question and answer period. Oh, starting this at 9 o'clock was fucking crazy. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning, going in. I was energized and pumped to do this lecture. I knew it's crazy because I set the intention in my mind a while back of every lecture that I was going to put out. I already knew exactly what I was going to say and when I was going to say it, how I was going to say it, and the constructs of the initiate of my mind. So I knew to get to each one of these points, I had to go through a certain amount. In order to get to a certain point, you got to go through a certain amount of initiation, a certain amount of processes, being open to everything that leads to it. So as you put yourself into this mind frame, as you created your space, there's no such thing as coincidence. There's no such thing as time. There's no such thing as mistakes. Everything is a divine decision based on infinite probabilities and infinite possibilities. But as I already said, the price list is up. If you need if you feel that you're resonating to get consultation, to guidance to better yourself, the price list is up all over my social media accounts. I'll put it in the descriptions after I edit the video. Not edit the video, but put it in the descriptions. But at this point, I leave this open to the question and answers. Questions, comments, concerns, things you were thinking about. Every question is an answer. Every answer is a question. Every question is an answer. Podcast is in season 2. We are going to get deeper into the mental thought process of your mind and what you need to do, what we need to do in certain aspects of ourselves. Let's change this music real quick. Shit. Yes, I'm sticking it through the gauge. I did it. Anyways. But yeah, Gotta Co-Alchemist. Allow the knowledge to do what it needs to do. God Hour podcast every Tuesday at 6 a.m. I drop a new episode. Drop a new episode for the week. Lucifer Somni. That's my Cash App link. Drop a donation so I can continue creating. My death date is coming up. It's gonna be a very insightful. I'm gonna do something special for you guys for my death date because I don't celebrate it in that aspect. But stepping into yourself is going to require an entire different set of thoughts. I like the way this makes me feel. I'm gonna let it play for a little bit. But set colonijas at gmail.com for any information. Tuning into yourself. Questions, comments, concerns, just inbox me. Hit me in my email, hit me in my inbox, and we can get that started up for you. Classes are starting soon. I'll have that class price list up and how to reach for the classes. And we got a lot of other different stuff on the way. Outside of that, if there are no comments, no questions, enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. The new year is upon us. Got something special for that coming up. That's about it. I love y'all. As always, we love us. Ashe.